Hey, this is Jason Loughlin. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to imitate the sound of lap steel guitar on electric guitar. If you want to learn how to play the solo that I just played, I just put out a course called Imitating Lap Steel Guitar Foundations. In that course, it takes you from ground zero, not knowing anything about this technique, to writing and playing solos like the one you just heard. Includes 50 video lessons, backing tracks, PDFs. I'm going to put the link to that along with free tabs and backing track to this lesson all down below. And while we're at it, please be sure to subscribe. That stuff really does help me out. Okay. So if we're going to imitate an instrument, we got to know what we're imitating. So let's talk a little bit about lap steel guitar. Lap steel guitar is commonly used in classic country music, Western swing, and Hawaiian music. It's a non-pedal steel guitar. That means no bending is going on here. All the sounds are achieved by the player grabbing sets of strings, using an open tuning, and moving the slide bar around. So as you could guess, we're going to need to know what that tuning is. We're going to have to incorporate a lot of slides. And if we're grabbing strings, we're going to need some hybrid picking. So let's first talk about that tuning. Commonly, a steel guitar is tuned to a major 6 chord, and in classic country music, it's pretty commonly tuned to a C major 6 chord, which means that the open strings include a C, E, G, and A, the root, 3rd, 5th, and 6th, making a C major 6 chord. So we're going to need to know how to make a major 6 chord on guitar. So let's do this. We'll do this in the key of G, and we'll start with a root position G major chord on the top 4 strings. And I'm going to show you how to turn that G major chord into a G major 6 chord. Okay, so here's my G major chord. I have root, 3rd, 5th, root. Now to turn this into a major 6 chord, I need to find the 5th and bring that up a scale step to the 6th. So my 5th in this voicing, this root position voicing, is on the 2nd string, and I'm going to bring that up a whole step so I turn that 5th into a 6th. And I could do that just by putting my pinky down on the 2nd string at the 5th fret. That gives me a G major 6 chord. And I have my roots on the D string and the E string. So once I have that, I could move that around anywhere. That's a movable chord shape. Say I wanted to make a C major 6 chord. I could move this up so C is in the bass, put that pinky down, and I have a C major 6 chord. What about a D major 6? Move that up a whole step, it's a D major 6. Now if we were to play over a track in the key of G, a 1-4-5 progression, we would have our 1, 4, and 5 chords. All right, so now we have a major chord shape, that's major 6 chord shape. Let's talk about the hybrid picking. We're grabbing strings, we're not strumming strings here. There's 4 notes in this chord, but we're going to look at this as 2 sets of 3 strings. So with pick and 2 fingers, I'm going to grab the G, B, and E string. That's giving me the 3rd, 6th, and the root. When I'm grabbing, I want to make sure that I have even attacks and the volume of every string is even. So you might have to do that a bunch of times, build up some calluses, and just get the volume of each string sounding nice and even. If your G string isn't a little louder than the other ones, try picking that a little lighter. If your high E string isn't loud enough, try grabbing that a little harder with the ring finger. So that's our top set of three, the G, B, and E. And then we look at this and we have a bottom set of three strings on the D, G, and B. And you can make a little exercise about going back and forth, or with going back and forth between these two string sets. Bottom, top. And just try to build up speed and strength while you do this. All right, so we have our major 6 chord, we got some hybrid picking. Now let's talk about something called a half-step approach. Typically, a lot of steel players slide into chords, so they're approaching the chord from underneath. So we're going to do that here on guitar. We're going to approach from a half step underneath the chord. So here's our destination, the G major 6. I'm going to start a half step underneath and move into the chord shape. I could do that with grabbing sets of 3 strings. And I can incorporate slides here to invoke that slide, which is what lap steel guitar is kind of known for. I could also slide in and out of any of those sets of 3 strings. I'll take the bottom set here. I'm going to grab it, slide down to the half step approach, and then back up. Okay, now let's talk about a glissando. And a glissando is basically a more dramatic slide. And we do this by starting far away from our destination. And it doesn't have to be in key. You're going to play this chord for such a short period of time and immediately slide off of it. It doesn't really matter. So just for lesson's sake, I'm going to start here on a D major 6. And I'm going to grab the top set of 3 strings and I'm going to slide down to that G. Now, commonly, lap steel players will do this, but they'll actually slide down below their destination and then move up into their destination. So I'll grab this D6 chord up here, slide down to that half step approach below, and then I could slide into position. I could also do this if I want to make sure the G6 chord is more pronounced. I could slide underneath and then grab that G6 chord. All right, so these are all the components that we need to start to kind of take the first steps in getting this lap steel guitar sound together. Now let's put them all together and learn a figure that incorporates everything here. So I'm going to start with a glissando down to a half step below my destination. Then I'm going to move it up a half step and grab that G major 6 chord on the top 3 strings. Then I'm going to come down to the bottom set of 3, grab this, slide down and back in. So let's put those things together. Now I'm going to finish this off by grabbing the top set of 3 strings and then the bottom set of 3 strings. Put this all together. If you want to do that for C, you could just move this up to C. Pick a spot to start your glissando. Let's start from here, F. Slide a half step underneath, move a half step up, grab your destination chord on the top 3 strings, grab the bottom set of 3, slide down, back in, top set of 3, bottom set of 3. We could do that for D. I'll start at the G here. Now we have that figure for a 1, 4, and 5 chord. Let's bring up a track and try this stuff in context. All right, congratulations. You've taken your first steps on stealing the sound of lap steel guitar and applying it to electric guitar. If you want to get free tab, notation, and backing tracks for the example that you just heard, I'm giving that away for free, and the link to that is down below, along with the link to my course, Imitating Lap Steel Foundations. That course includes 50 video lessons, taking you from ground zero, never playing this stuff ever before in your life, to playing solos like the one that you heard at the beginning of this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you subscribe. That stuff helps me out. I'll see you in another lesson, and stay inspired.